So we're live on Instagram, live on Facebook. We've got a bunch of knuckleheads in here. Ask some questions. No, we won't need to show them. All right, so yes, welcome to the Ask the BCE Show. The BCE, that means blue collar entrepreneur. And the reason why I called it the BCE is I consider myself more of a blue collar entrepreneur. Like I'm definitely not white collar. I'm hands on. I like to get in the dirt. I do a lot of work. I consider myself more blue collar, but I want this show to be for those more blue collar entrepreneurs. Like, you know, I have a lot of mentors that I follow, like Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins, Darren Hardy. I follow all these guys, and that's helped molds me and guides me through my business. So the big problem with that is if I wanted to get like a one-on-one sit down with Gary Vaynerchuk, you were looking at like $30,000, right? So the reason I want this to be more of a blue collar entrepreneur show is I'm touchable, I'm reachable. Like you guys can get a sit down with me for free and message me right now, message me on Facebook. I'll answer those questions right now. Like how could you get a hold of Darren Hardy? Could you get a hold of Tony Robbins on the spot? No, you can't. Now I'm not comparing myself to Darren Hardy and Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins at all. Those guys are amazing and high quality, big ballers, right? Like, but I do have some knowledge up here and I can help. So I am touchable. That's a big part of this show, what I'm doing. My background, why do I have any authority to talk at all, is I'm the founder and owner of Fit Republic, owner of Fit Republic Foods, Neutrona Health, which is our manufacturing company, and a company I just started. It is a Hunting, Colorado company. So I have a lot of background in business. But what I think really qualifies me to be able to talk a little bit about business is not success or what I've built or where I'm at now. It's all the failures I've been through. So I've pretty much been through everything from closing businesses to homeless. I was homeless for a year as I was building my businesses. So if you want to ask a question on what it's like to couch surf for a year, Ben, you probably can relate. I've done that. I've problems with the IRS. I've had IRS audits to anything and everything you can think of owning a business, running a business. I've been through, and I have the knowledge in here. And the knowledge in here doesn't do anybody any good. I want to get it out and like help people with it that might be going through something similar. Some blue collar entrepreneur you're not making billions of dollars and flying jets and driving Ferraris. Maybe you're a lot like me, where I have a old truck that I drive around that's probably going to break down any moment, and I don't even fly. I drive to where I want to go because I can't afford a plane ticket. But I'm building businesses, and maybe you can relate a little bit and ask me some questions. So that's kind of my background. I have a lot of knowledge to give. I think that, and I stressed you guys, like, reach out, questions. We have questions coming on Instagram right now. I know we just have some people coming in. Any questions on Facebook Live? I don't know, guys. I've talked a little bit about before this meeting of what I wanted to go over. What am I missing before we start into the show? Again, this is episode number 1 of the BCE Show, the Blue Collar Entrepreneur. I don't know if I stressed that or not, but my goal for this show is actually to have 52 episodes instead of like 3 of the podcasts that I started and I haven't done fucking 6 months. I want 52 episodes of this. That means I want to do 1 a week for a year. And we're going to suck ass at I'm going to suck ass at this in the first few episodes. But just like anything else, the more you do, the better you get. And by 52, if I can get 52 done in a year, I should be okay at this. And hopefully we get better at the editing versions and the video. Like Isla, right? We're learning at the same time. Let's see. You guys got anything that I'm missing here?
Aren't you planning on bringing some guests or something?
Oh, guests, yes. If you guys want to be on the show with me, message me, DM, let me know. I'll probably bring Ben on and we'll talk about couch surfing and what that's like. But yes, I want guests on every once in a while. Actually, me and Reese are going on a hunting trip here in a couple weeks, and we'll probably do one of the shows from up on top of the mountain. You cool with that?
Yeah.
Down with just because that's where we're going to be, and I'm sure it's going to be on a Wednesday. And I want to try to do this every Wednesday at noon, too, by the way. So, all right, hey, let's jump into the show. Let's ask questions. So, give me the first question.
All right, Roman 9904 asks, how do you stay so fly?
Roman, I bet you I know you, Roman. Were you Roman probably Yusufov from Republic of Little? How do I stay so fly? Step number one, Roman, let's make sure we shower every day, comb your hair, put on clothes, and again, you guys don't, to be a business owner, you don't have to wear a suit. I wear workout clothes every day. I think if I put on a suit and came in here, you guys would be like, what the hell's going on, right? Who died or something, right? Yeah, but basics, Roman, just, I guess, hygiene, man. And thanks for thinking I'm fly. All right, next question.
All right, at Giant's Mate asks, when are you opening up stores in Texas? We're hungry.
Giants Mate, I miss you guys. We used to work out at CrossFit South Aurora. That's a plug for you, Dave. You're welcome. And these guys were awesome, man. Like they came in and really changed their life in the short time that I knew them. I worked out with them for about a year and lost a lot of weight, got in shape, and now they're all about fitness. And unfortunately, you guys moved to Texas. I miss you guys, but here's my answer to your question. We franchise Fit Republic, so why don't you open a Fit Republic in Texas? And that way you can have Fit Republic foods every day, and it's your business. So DM me, let's get a store in Texas, cool? All right, next question.
Sweet. The next question is going to be from Alex Jarapis Zan. It says, knowing what you know now, what's the one thing you would tell your younger self?
So knowing what I know now from Alex Tarapazan, is that your handle?
Sure.
Knowing what you know now, what is the one thing you would tell yourself, your younger self? Patience is the biggest thing I would say there. Is when you're young, you want it right away, you want it tomorrow, and you can't see towards the future very well. And you make a lot of decisions on short-term decisions, and sometimes those decisions are not good decisions. You're thinking about where I'm going to be at in a month, where am I going to be at in 2 months. You're not thinking about 10 years. This is a long game, guys, not short game. So, yeah, the biggest thing I would tell myself when I'm young is to have patience, make good decisions, make decisions for the long term, and play the long game. You know, play the long game. Make the decisions for 10 years from now, and what that's going to be best for you 10 years from now, rather than what's best for you tomorrow or a month from now. Yeah, I think that's the right answer to that.
There you go. All right, so the next question is from the girl who lives 22. She's actually got a couple questions, so I'm just going to kind of run through them.
Well, let's just start with the first one. Yeah.
What's one characteristic that you believe every leader should possess?
And the girl who lived 22, I believe that's Marcy, right? She's around the brand a lot. Hey, Marcy, if you're watching, I really appreciate you around the brand, posting and talking about us a lot. Appreciate you coming on the Body Rival hike. Hope you didn't get too messed up on that fall from that enormous cliff. But I will give you props for jumping because not very many people jumped. I jumped. You guys didn't jump.
I was sick. Alex just did arms.
There's a lot of excuses there.
It's cold.
The water was cold. Oh my God. All right, the girl who lived 22, what is one characteristic you believe every leader should possess? My answer to this one is empathy. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're going to be a leader, and the main characteristics have empathy. Being able to put yourself into your employees' shoes is the biggest tool that you can use. Understanding what they may be going through, understanding their challenges, understanding who they are as a person. That'll help you to be a better leader. And if you can understand who they are as a person, understand what they're going through, you can then lead them to what they need to see, hear, and feel to get the best production and get the best out of that employee. So kind of a short answer there is empathy. Being able to put yourself in their shoes, and then the rest will follow after that. And I know Marcy has quite a few questions for us, so I appreciate that, Marcy.
Yes. Next one from Marcy. How do you encourage creative thinking within your organizations?
If your employee's name is Ben, you don't allow creative thinking from Ben. Or Reese and Adam, where you guys got to see this board in the back. If you guys ever visit us here at HQ, just ask to go see the board. They think they're artists back there. But anyway, okay, sorry. How do you encourage creative thinking within your organization? I think the biggest thing there is not to stifle any thought or idea. There is no bad idea. There is no bad thought. There is no... just allow that creative thinking to grow, because even if at the time you think the thought or the idea doesn't quite fit or is not a good thought or idea, that will lead into another thought and idea, which will lead into another thought and idea, and before you know it, you are at the solution to your problem. So I think atmosphere is really big here too, so I'm really big on atmosphere within my company. I think that you really want your employees to feel safe in their environment, and safe not to, like, if they fuck up, they're not going to lose their job. You know what I mean? Everyone messes up, right? Everyone screws up. So I encourage, hey, let's go out and fail. Let's go out and screw up. Let's have some really shitty ideas, because at some point those shitty ideas are going to lead to a good idea. And yeah, if you own a retail business, you don't close on Cinco de Mayo. That is not a holiday you close on. Rule number one. But long story short on that answer is allow mistakes to happen, because through failures and mistakes, you'll eventually find the right answer.
Sweet. This is going to be one of my favorite ones. It's who has made a tremendous impact on you as a leader?
Who has made a tremendous impact on me as a leader? And this is still from Marcy, right?
Yes.
God, that's a good question, because there's so many people that I follow and that make impact on me. I'm going to say I'm going to say probably the guys that I follow now, and I definitely, maybe we can throw in like the link, or maybe we can send this to Gary Vaynerchuk and maybe he'd get me on the show or throw me some props or something like that. I can get a sit down with him. But Gary Vaynerchuk, I like that guy a lot for motivation. Every time I watch his stuff, I just get amped up to want to conquer. Tony Robbins is great, man. He has a lot of like life lessons of Tony. Darren Hardy's really good. Man, those three right there is what I consume the most as far as content. And what's crazy about nowadays is like that content is online for free most of the time, just like this is free. If this was 20 years ago, you had to find a mentor or a leader physically, person to person, and spend as much time with that person as possible. Now you could be doing multiple things at once. You could be working, like I sit here at my desk and I work all day while I have Tony Robbins play in the background, or we watch a lot of Darren Hardy's in the morning because we do that daily Darren, right? And if I'm feeling lazy, I throw on some Gary Vaynerchuk and it gets me ramped up. So that's the beautiful thing about nowadays, right now, is you don't have to be physically with your mentor. You can literally just pull up a podcast, a YouTube video, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, whatever, and have some leadership and mentorship like this for free. It's nice. Answer that question? I think so.
Yes.
All right, next question.
All right. So what advice would you give someone coming into a leadership position for the first time? And what are you doing daily, weekly, monthly for continual growth as a leader?
What advice would you give someone coming into leadership for the first time? That's hard, because it depends on the company for sure, or what you're leading, but I think that never lose sight of like what it's like to be on the other side of the shoe, on the other foot, like being an employee with the boss, right? So never losing sight of that. Like even with my employees here, like again, I think it comes back to empathy, is understanding your employee and who they are and where they're coming from. Never losing sight of you being the employee when you're being a leader, and trying to always put yourself in their shoes and understand what they're going through. Maybe it's something personal. Maybe they're going through a bunch of personal stuff that's bleeding into workplace. But if you're going into leadership for the first time, have empathy. Have empathy for who you're leading, and again, allow room for mistakes, because that's when the growth happens. So I guess I kind of answered both those questions there. All right, we got down to the last question. And if you guys have questions, if you're tuned in live, which we probably have like 5 people watching us, which is fine, which is cool, which brings me to another point of why I'm doing this is, yes, absolutely content. Content is king, right? Like I want to produce a ton of content and get content out there. Nowadays we want following. We want social media following, we want views, eyes on us, because let's face it, my Facebook, my Instagram, this will be on YouTube. This is the TV. We watch this, right? This is the new TV. So I want content, I want following. I hope to bring value to whoever's watching this. Again, there's a lot of info up here that I'm not going to write a book. First of all, I don't read books. So, I mean, I don't have time to sit down and read a book. I wish I did. I used to like to read a book. You know, that's probably a lie. The other point I'm going to go to is I'm always going to be honest and transparent in this show. So if there's any questions that you ask, you will always get my 100% honest and transparent answers. I don't like to read. That's why I'm a bad speller. And so I guess I'm going off on a tangent here, but the tangent the point I'm trying to make is I'm not going to write a book on the knowledge that I have. I want you guys to ask questions, because then the knowledge just comes out. It's just there, right? So that's a big point of why I'm doing this. Another huge point, even if no one sees this and I have 0 viewers on YouTube, on Facebook, I really don't care, because this is documentation of my life. And how cool would it be for my grandkids or their kids to look back and see what Uncle Kurt or Grandpa Kurt did when he was running business and he was much younger and still looked fly, Roman.
We already call you Grandpa Kurt.
I know. But documentation, document your life. And for you guys that are out there, you guys should be doing the same thing. Yeah, maybe you might not have a videographer to do this, but just grab the phone, document your life, put out content. Content is king. Big tangent there. Let's get to that next question. Oh, what are you doing daily, weekly, monthly to continue growth as a leader? I kind of went over this. Mentorships. I'm always trying to feed my mind, whether it be, if you like to read books. That's great. There's a ton of good books out there. Ed Mylett had a book I saw. Awesome. Read that book. Gary Vaynerchuk has Jab, 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 Right Hook. He has Crushing It. So if you like to read books, but always be feeding your mind. I like video or audio. That way I could be doing other stuff while I'm listening and consuming information. Never stop growing, never stop learning. Push yourself to learn new things. Sometimes I think I'm trying to learn too much at once and my head hurts. But yeah, answer that question is mentorship. Doesn't have to be, face-to-face mentorship. It could be digital. And continue to feed your mind information to grow as a person. A big part of that is to feed your mind positivity also. Self-perception is probably one of the biggest tools that you can have, is how you perceive yourself and having accurate self-perception. If you perceive yourself as not being good enough to be successful, you're never going to be successful. If you perceive yourself as not being a good person, or sometimes you have a misperception where you perceive yourself as being more or bigger than what you are, self-perception is everything. So continue to feed your mind and do audits of yourself too. So is there any other questions on the live do we have here? Isla, do we have anybody coming in with questions? I think I see one. How does your wife feel about you owning your businesses? I believe that's from my wife. I think maybe this question goes into life balance. Work-life balance. Let's talk about that. I'm not very good at it. I try really hard to be good at it. But here's my philosophy on work-life balance. I believe when you're at work, be present. Go 110% at work until work is over. When work is done, work is over, you go back to your family and go 110% into being a dad, being a mom, being a wife, being a husband. You have to categorize each one of them, put them in a box. This is my work time, and when I'm working, I'm working. When I'm at home and I'm with family. So, yes, honey, my wife, how does my wife feel about me owning a bunch of businesses? I guarantee you there's a lot of days she wish I didn't own businesses, because let's face it, entrepreneurship's very stressful. It's very, very hard. And sometimes you take work home with you. That's just part of it. And let's take, for example, last night, I literally woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and couldn't sleep because my head's running with everything that I need to do the next day. That's a big downside of entrepreneurship. You never check out. So yes, there's some big negatives about owning your own business, but there's some huge positives too. Like if I wanted to right now, I could take my wife on okay, we may not do this, but I could take my wife on a trip right now for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I'm making the same amount of money as if I'm sitting right here. The flexibility of owning your own business, as long as you're not in your business, working in your business, you can remove yourself. That flexibility of being an entrepreneur, you don't have a boss. You have no one to say, do this, do that, clock in, clock out. Oh, you're 5 minutes late, you're getting rid of. Like, there's some huge benefits to that too. So, I bet you my wife's pretty conflicted there. I think sometimes she wishes I didn't own businesses, and other times she's glad I did own businesses because it gave her a year off where she didn't have to have a job, and I'm sure she enjoyed that quite a bit too. Other questions that might be coming through. Do we have any Instagram questions? No, you guys are on? Wait, I got one right here. As a business owner, do you work on perfecting the system first or put together the team and figure out logistics later? That's a good question. Spray foam. Yeah, do you work on the systems first or do you, does anybody pull that up? You guys seen that anywhere? No. You work on the systems first and you worry about logistics later. What do you do? Man, my philosophy, if you're 80% there, go for it. You'll figure out the little details later. If you're gonna wait to be 100% confident, 100% perfect, you're never going to do it because it's never 100%, ever. You could be doing the same business for 10 years, you're still not 100% perfect in your system. So my answer to that is just go, do it. Figure out the logistics later. The biggest point is it the right move? Are you doing the right thing? Is your business solving a problem? That's the biggest thing to ask yourself. And if it is, if it's helping people, if it's solving some problem in your industry, if you're in the niche, just go do it. If you feel like you're 80% there, go. Worry about the details later. All right. Got any other questions? You pull up that Instagram and see, Reese? I don't think so.
No, I think so.
All right. All right, guys, thank you for joining us in my first ever Q&A show called Ask the BCE, episode number 1. Stay tuned. Hopefully this is a weekly thing. On Wednesdays at noon, we're going to try to get this done. Wednesdays at noon live every time. There may be a few weeks, like when we're on the mountain, we might not be able to do it, right? So thanks again, guys. Please send in your questions, DM me, message me questions that you want answered for next week. Tune in live. We'll take questions live. And hopefully this gave you guys some value that you can use. Again, thanks. Bye.